the report subsequently. Well, Kenneth Odilika joins us now. He's a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, even if we start off with after he was immediately dismissed, of course, you know how these things go. You'll always have people who cry and saying, okay, well, look, what's up with that dismissal? Should they have waited for what kind of processes was he subjected to? Was he subjected to the right processes? And different perspectives and different twists to all of this. But you've been following this for some time. What struck you when you saw all of this?
You know, I told you some time ago on this platform that our default mode in Nigeria is fraud. Actually, I said corruption. First of all, from your investigation, you told us that that's not even the man's name. That's number one. That's somebody who had been in police force for about 21 years. Who recruited him? Who actually bears that name? Is anybody telling me that the man who bears that name didn't know that somebody who was his classmate is using his name in Nigeria? I find that difficult to believe. Now, what about the other superintending officers that have been in the system superintending this man? They didn't know. He had not been reporting to anybody. You don't wake up and demand for 25,000 naira. No matter how we value this currency of ours, that's still some amount of money. So that shows that this man has been demanding and collecting certain amounts of money to just demand 25,000 as if he was demanding 50 kobo.
They said he was working alone.
What did you expect them to say? For that man to even be the butt of jokes today, or to have been arrested because somebody made it public. If you can make public the other people who are behind him and with whom he works, then the IG will come out now and tell you, oh, we have found out, oh, we have found out. They won't even conduct their own investigation, thorough investigation. If they did, they'll find out that there's no way that whatever his name is was working alone. He couldn't have been. He was wearing police uniform. He was standing somewhere, a busy place. So if he was working alone, they would have picked him up. The police officers would have picked him up. So he definitely was not working alone. Corruption in Nigeria, well, we're not talking about just the policeman who asked for 35,000 naira and was filmed requesting that or demanding that. Corruption is part of the fabric of Nigeria. The police officers, commissioner of police whose children are schooling abroad, how much is his salary? The permanent secretary whose children are schooling abroad, how much is his salary? And on and on and on. We've just got one little rat, one small fry, one fly, and we're making a lot of noise about it.
Let's even revisit that matter again, and just perhaps something we might have missed, but in any case, let's look at this again.
How do I live? If I drop all the I've told you. See, should I show you my ticket?
Listen, not be
$50,
$20, and other dollars they did.
But I told you I have to pay excess luggage. That was where I offered
So
you.
all those that $50 and this, by the time you will use all of them for excess luggage.
Okay.
Now with the speed grammar, because by the time when speed no go date two of us, so you go take my own because I will continue my work.
Caught on hidden camera soliciting a bribe with devastating consequences.
Tell you what I have.
If it's possible from that side they come here, you think I will still be inside?
So
In less than 24 hours after we got wind of that story, the police officer was identified. He was arrested. He was detained. He has since been conclusively tried in an orderly room trial. And as I'm speaking to you, he is no longer a serving police officer. Sergeant Christopher Omeleze has been dismissed from the Nigerian police force.
That dismissal is too harsh. The action taken against him is too harsh.
For somebody who is corrupt, I will not run a corrupt police service.
thank you.
The disgraced and dismissed police officer who employed deception in law enforcement.
Yeah, was you. I bet that motor, that jeep when I carry come out for here. It's not ready. You just tell Oga make you book him. I want them over, beg.
As a matter of fact, he made no calls. What he simply did was to blackmail those were antics of a corrupt Nigerian, a corrupt police officer.
His name was given as Christopher Omeleze, but it turns out that's another part of the grand deception. For 21 years, he's able to con the force in an identity scam.
Real name of the dismissed policeman is not Chris Omeleze. His real name is Osuga Festus from Umuseiti in Ndokwa West local government area of Delta State. He was classmates with Chris Omeleze. They attended Ndemili Grammar School and finished in 1987.
Now that it turns out he is not Christopher Omeleze, as he has claimed for over 2 decades, who is this man? How can we be sure there aren't several similar imposters in the armed services? Perhaps it's time for a large-scale and thorough audit of personnel. Charles Aruka, Channels Television News.
Already we have so many people on Twitter, daily or Sato, saying, look, most policemen who extort money from people never work alone, especially at the legal checkpoints. But where do we even begin and how do we start correcting this process? Because I remember former President Obasanjo also spoke about entry into police was very problematic. He used uncharitable words for them. And now we still have this staring us in the face.
You start, excuse me, you start from your educational system.
Educational system?
Yes.
Oh.
What about your civics? Do they teach civics in primary schools?
Well,
I don't think they do. What about history? Do they teach history still?
No, they must teach history. I mean, to be able to do certain courses in university.
No, they don't.
They don't teach history.
Because in university, you take it as a course.
In the primary schools?
Secondary schools, they don't teach history.
In the secondary schools, they must teach history.
The civics you should be learning in primary school. When you get to secondary school, you learn history. They don't teach history in secondary schools. Now, how do you inculcate proper values in children?
You can't say that for sure.
I'm saying for sure. My children have gone to school.
They didn't do history.
My daughter didn't do
you should study law.
He did in A-levels in the United Kingdom. He didn't do it in secondary school. So I'm not guessing. And she went to one of the best schools in the country.
And it wasn't offered as a course, not that she didn't take it. I mean,
in secondary school, it's up to your JS. What is it? I don't know your system these days. It used to be class 3.
Yeah.
Whatever it's called now. At least you have no options. It's in SS whatever that you have your options.
Yes.
I'm telling you that.
I know federal government
for somebody
colleges
who had
those
to go
days
and do history in A-levels, well, International Baccalaureate, IB, which is a wider scope of A-levels. Don't you think the person would have wanted to do, somebody wants to study law? Don't you think she would have wanted to study history in her O-levels? If it's available? It's
not compulsory.
If it was available. I'm telling you, they don't. You can do your research and call me back for us to argue.
We went through secondary school. I
did history when I was in secondary school.
Yes.
I'm talking about, I heard you yesterday talking about generations. That was, I left secondary school in 1975.
It can't be that far back for me.
This one, I'm talking about 2 years ago.
And they did a lot of civics at that time.
Civics?
But now.
Did you do civics?
I'm not sure.
In the secondary school, maybe.
Okay. Not physics, civics.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So, anyway, you see, you need to go back. For you to inculcate certain values in children or in people, you have to start when they're young. It's not when they're already molded and made and you start teaching. What are you teaching them? That's why I extended my discussion to beyond just the police force. Your security agencies, practically all of them. I deal with some. Yours, what do you call SSS? That's DSS or SSS. The same thing is going on there. That's corrupt as the rest. The ministries. Private sector. Corruption is part and parcel of this country.
But do we have to see if we can streamline it? Because, I mean, some will tell you, the foot soldiers, some of them, they say, I mean, they talk about the IG. You dare not come to him and say you're making any such thing as returns or giving kickback. He frowns at it, and some members in the force have testified to that. So you'll have people in the force who do that kind of thing, but could it be that maybe the hierarchy is unaware?
I wouldn't say the hierarchy is unaware the way you just put it. Definitely there's no way 100% of the police force will be corrupt. It's not possible. Just like you don't have any way you have 100% of people being good. But what we're saying is that there is more corruption, there's more corrupt policemen as we're seeing than even the good ones. I have some examples of excellent policemen, incorruptible policemen, who were even forced to retire, in fact, who were forced out of the force because of their incorruptibility. I'm not going to name a name, but if I'm forced to, I'll name a name here. He was forced out of the police force because he refused to be corrupted.